This juniper bow has a really beautiful fragrance, very aromatic. And I'm building this bow, and they say the best is the sapwood. And the redwood isn't as great, that heartwood, but I gotta tell you, if you're gonna build one of these bows, you have to put it in. I'm not building a speed bow, I'm building a shootable, beautiful bow, hopefully. So we'll see how the day progresses. 7 o'clock in the morning. It's 32 degrees out. It's gonna warm up, supposedly, to almost 50 degrees today. Then it's gonna drop back down and we might have snow showers. But anyway, today's the day. It's warm enough. I'm gonna attempt to put this over coals and monitor it and see what kind of degree of heat treating or fire hardening this is gonna have. So when I tested the moisture today, yesterday I had like 9% moisture all around, 10% in the handle, because I have hot air heat in the house. It registered 0, which means it's 4% or less. So what I did was I took a warm wet rag, and I'm going to hydrate this, and it's going to be a couple of hours before I fire harden it because I'm waiting for the temperature to rise. So I'm going to just hydrate it twice now within the next hour and just leave it be until time comes to fire harden it. Okay, it's 11:15. It's almost 50 degrees out. Check the moisture. This has been sitting for a couple of hours. We got 7.4. We got over 7. We got 7.8. So we introduced some moisture in here, and you don't want to put too much moisture and have it crack over the heat, but you don't want to dry either. So I'm going to get started. Getting rid of the ice. The last thing I need to do is slip on a 50-degree day. Going to clean up this fire hardening jig from the last time I used it. Very easy cleanup. All I do is in the middle, I rip apart the aluminum foil. I'm going to slide it into this bag. Look how easy it slides in. Okay. The one thing I'm going to do is there's these trays that I use for the recurve. See these trays I use for the recurve? So this way I can build up the coals so they heat the bend. I'm going to save those and recycle them. But as far as cleaning this up, look, that's what it is. You just slide it into a bag. So when you do a longbow, it's a lot faster. You just slide it in and don't worry about saving the trays. Okay, you always put the jig up and you make sure that this expandable gutter is long enough to cover the ends. And then you tighten it down. You're pinching these two pieces of gutter together with the clamp. Okay, we lined the foil, and then inside we crinkle up some foil so the air can get in around the coals. Okay, we're getting going here. Probably it's quarter after 11. We're probably going to start around 11:30. 25 after. I have this a little higher. Just going to let it dry a little bit for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to drop it down. Important things to have, once again, is a stick to knock off the ash, to even out the coals from hot spots, and fireplace gloves. Wear the fireplace gloves when you make movements, when you lift it up or down. And don't think, oh, I can handle it, because if you drop it and it touches the coals, once it's super dry, it'll spontaneously combust, and you go, uh-oh, I should have worn the gloves. So these are two important things to have. Okay, you can see I started having some smoke come off of this wood. I don't want it to spontaneously combust. So I raised it up a little higher. And you know how Keith Shannon showed you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's what I have it at now. I'm going to raise it just a little bit higher. Let's see exactly what it is. It's a 5 count. It's a 5 count because the wood's smoking. I'm going to leave it like this for a half hour and we'll check it out. And then maybe I'll go a little lower. We'll see. But it's 50 degrees out today. And the thing I noticed is because it's 50 degrees, you saw where I had it. It was pretty high. And I was doing that 1, 2, 3 count. And if you see how guys do it with this cinder blocks, it's a little higher than the cinder block. Usually I get lower than the cinder block with this jig to cook it. But we're going to leave it like that for a half an hour and check it out. I'll be checking it in between though. It's been at that height for about 15 minutes and I lowered it a little bit. Just take a quick look. Really no color to speak of. A little color, like a little tint. Let me lower this a little more. I cleared away by the riser the coals, just to let you know, because that riser was smoking. And it's okay if it gets a little bit of cracking in the end, because the riser is long enough where I could just sand it in a little bit. It's about that 3 count now, but I really got to watch it. So, like I said, it's been in there. Time isn't important, but it's like 10-2, so we spent like 20 minutes higher. And now we got it like at that 3 count, and we're going to watch it really closely. That wood's smoking again. It's the wood. I'm going to raise it up a little bit. Going to be a long process today. Okay, it's been like 45 minutes, and once again, time isn't important. It's starting to get a little discoloration, the wood, you know, getting a little darker color. I've been really babying it. I see a little smoke, I raise it up a little bit, then I put it back down again. And we're just going to let it cook. I got time today. I got nothing to do today. It's a beautiful day. Tomorrow's going to be, believe it or not, snow and flurries and 20 degrees again. So it's only 45 minutes just to start. And we got it at that 3 count. And we're going to let it cook. Once again, there's less coals by this riser. It's been going close to an hour now. I added more coals. I tightened the clamps up a little bit more. And I will show you. We're going to let it go a little more because there's really not a lot to show you. I'll show you in another 15 minutes what the bottom looks like. We have incredibly high winds today. So I just wanted to show you the camera stand I'm using. Look at the bottom of it. It's got a nice wide base that hasn't blown over in these high winds. Okay. I bought this. You see this clamp? It's got notches in it, so you don't have to worry about your phone popping off and losing your phone. Also, look on my fire hardening jig. You see those stands? Those are Target stands. Those Target stands are from Highwild, the company called Highwild. And really secure. We have these big wind gusts today. It's dead calm. Then we get like 30-mile-an-hour wind gust. And they're standing, they're holding up. Here we go with another big gust. And they're rock solid. Starting from the center of the riser, going to the right. We got that kind of blackish color coming through. From the center going to the left. Okay, we got that blackish color coming through. We got another hour of playing around with this and letting it cook. And time isn't important, but with this here, I'm watching that it don't catch on fire. I'm just trying to get that black color. I don't want any scorching on this because I want to sand it and have it look beautiful when I'm done. Okay, I don't know how necessary this is, but I'm moving the clamps. I always move the clamps a little. Very hot. Just want to make sure it didn't move it left or right. Just put the clamps in a different spot for the purpose of the heat, coloring the wood, and heat treating underneath. I'm sure it's heat treated underneath. That heat goes all around. Once again, it's 50 degrees, so it's a little higher than like you see in my winter fire hardening videos, where it's practically on top of the coals. So, and then of course this is a evergreen. I got to really watch it. This has been going for an hour and a half, and I've been very busy raising it, lowering it, and we're going to check out the bottom. I'm going to show you at an hour and a half what it looks like. Okay, starting from the center riser, moving to the right. We got that darkness. Okay. Back to the center, moving to the left. And we got that darkness to the end. It's been an hour and a half. Like I said, the time really isn't that important. But with this wood here, I'm watching it very carefully. This is only going to be, the attempt on this beautiful bow is going to be for a rawhide back 35-pound bow. And I'm going to try and get it to 28 inches. It's 66 inches long. And we've got to wait a few days for that rawhide to come in anyway. And once this is done, I'm going to hydrate it. Okay, we only have a little longer to go, and I just want to tell you a few things. Okay, this wood, this evergreen here, this beautiful juniper, very aromatic, smells beautiful, is tension weak, which the back of the bow wants a break. It's tension weak. So we're going to solve that with the rawhide I'd ordered. The rawhide will be coming in a few days. As far as the belly of the bow, the belly is so-so in compression. So I'm hoping that fire hardening it, heat treating with a strong heat treat, light fire hardening, is going to change that. Whoa, this wind is like crazy. Wow, big gust. That has to be like a 50-mile-an-hour gust. But you see the camera stand and his stands here, they're holding up. It's amazing. All right, sorry I got interrupted. And the coals are red. It's unbelievable. So anyway, the bottom line is here, is this, we're trying to change the belly to make it a little more compression strong. But the problem when you use a wood like an evergreen is that it becomes brittle. And you cook it and dry it up so much, it becomes brittle, and it'll break when you go to bend it. So I did a little research on it, and I read about it, and I always listen to guys that seem like they're experienced or older timers. So one guy said to somebody who was making one of these bows, these Eastern red cedar bows, he said, make sure that you oil it. You oil it, he says, and it'll last. He says, if you don't, it'll dry up and it'll eventually break. So when I get I'm going to show you how I rawhide it and put the tips on, the wooden tips. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put wine. I bought this beautiful wine dye. It's going to look sort of like the purple. So I'm going to put that, you know, that red, the color of the wood. So I'm going to put the wine dye on the leather. I'm putting it on a test piece first, not the leather, the rawhide. Test piece first to see how it looks. And if it looks good, I'm going to put that on the rawhide after, you know, it's sanded and all. And then I'm going to cover the rawhide with polyurethane, okay? And the reason I'm going to do that is so when I put the true oil on the back, the true oil don't change or stain the backing, that rawhide backing. I don't want it to be stained. So that's the plan. Plan is rawhide back it, polyurethane it, and As soon as this is off, I'm going to hydrate it with water over and over and over and over again. I'm going to saturate it with water. But when the rawhide comes, I'm going to start, and I get the rawhide on and everything, then I'm going to start using true oil. I'm going to start putting true oil in, and hopefully that oil absorb into the wood. I'll get that into the wood as I'm tillering it. And the other thing I found out, when I'm all done and I get it tilled and everything, I'll be able to coat that true oil with polyurethane, because the polyurethane, as long as it's an oil base, will cover it up. So that's the plan, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's one of my experiments, and I'm going to see how it comes out. Check it out. See the color throughout the limb, okay, on the belly of the bow. And my phone just got a gale warning. We have gale warnings. And I'm telling you, we got 50-mile-an-hour gust winds here every so often. So I'm going to take this clamps off. I'm going to show you a better view of this. And then we're going to hydrate it. Okay, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a lot disappointed. This bow here didn't take the back set and sprung back. Okay, it sprung back. It's been cooked for 2 hours and 20 minutes. And that's what I got. So what I'm going to do right now is just show it to you. I got to take this some of this crack out here. There's a little crack from the heat. Sand it down. Get some of this beautiful wood to show again. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the next step. But right now we're going to hydrate. Soap and wet rag. I'm going to put moisture back in this. The next thing I'm going to try, I think what I might try is, and I really don't want to get oil on the back of the bow because I'm going to put the rawhide on it. So maybe I should try heating it with some oil and see if I can get it to take that back set with oil in it and the heat gun. I find it crazy that it didn't take. All right, it's just one of them things, one of them oddities. But this is the first time I'm using juniper, you know, eastern red cedar juniper. Like I said, it's probably brittle now. I'm going to introduce oil to it at some point anyway. And I'm going to keep hydrating it. Yeah, I hope it works out. I hope I can, I'm going to give it another shot. See what happens. Maybe I'll use a heat gun and oil and see if I can get it to stay. I don't know though. I don't even know if it's worth doing. I hope it comes out beautiful regardless. And if it comes out beautiful, I'm going to give it to my son's girlfriend, Abby. And we're going to, I just spoke to her, we're going to make, try and make like a 25-pound bow for her to use. So we got a lot of wiggle room. We don't have to make a heavy bow. So I got a lot of material I could take down. And hopefully we'll get a beautiful bow out of it. I'm hoping. Still thinking positive. My best efforts of fire hardening, plans change. Look at this, like set. No back set, kind of set. So since I found out I'm going to make a 25-pound bow, I'm going to reduce some material, and then I'm going to try clamping it, heating it, and putting oil on it with a heat gun. See if I can get it to bend, but I got to take down some weight, make it thinner first. Okay, just to show you, after 20 strokes, okay, I got to take down a lot more wood. I'm almost afraid to tiller it. I don't want it in case it's brittle, but okay, I'm going to take a little more down, and I'm going to start using heat and oil and see if I can get that backset. Okay, I got nothing to lose. I took about maybe 40 strokes off of this. I'm going to add oil to it, heat it up, add oil to it, heat it up, and I'm going to see if I can get it to conform a little better. Because I was so surprised after 2 hours, over 2 hours over the coals, that we had that much spring back. And if I do this and we have spring back, I just got to accept what it is. It is what it is. All right, I find it hard to accept things, though. I always got to push ahead. So I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see what happens. Going to heat it up with the heat gun, and I'll show you. It's cool now, but because of the oil, it's sticky. So I got gloves on. I'm going to take it off. We're going to look at all the big spring back I'm sure we got. All that work of heating it up, I heat it up for another hour and a half. And that stave is what it is. Look at that, the back set. No back set, string follow. Very disappointed. Maybe I'm going to try and, on another day, is try and put blocks on the end and see if I can heat the back of the bow and see if that'll help take a set. I'm going to let this dry, and there's another day. I think the next day I'm going to try, the last straw I'm going to try is putting this, clamping this down and bending the leaves up and hitting. I'm going to try heating up the back of the bow. I heated the belly. I couldn't get any back set. But the back of the bow is flat. And it goes right down here to the table with not much pressure. Okay? So what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to heat treat, because I heat treated the belly. I'm going to do something similar outside, a little bit of weight in the middle. And I'm going to heat treat the back, because the back is flat and going to get rawhide. Right? I never heat treated the back of the bow, and I'm not going to cook it. I'm going to use a heat gun. And I'm only going to get I only need a 25-pound bow for this. So hopefully it'll work. We'll find out tomorrow. The wind is howling outside. It is 50-mile-an-hour gust. Okay, 12:30, I gave it the first heat treatment, 12:30 at night. Gonna go to sleep and then give it another shot in the morning, but I wanted to give it one good heat treatment on the back of the bow before I went to bed. Heat treating the back last night did help. It needs a little more work. I'm going to heat treat it again. Once again, they say that this can become brittle, but I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to make sure it's hydrated and the belly is oiled with tongue oil. And we should be good. We've got to wait for the rawhide to come in, so we got time to play with this. This morning, as you can see in the video, we took off that clamp and we had some slight backset. So it was a success. So this morning, I wanted to heat treat it one more time. So each limb got 10 minutes of the heat gun with an inch, within an inch of the back, and we let it cooling now. And I'm gonna hydrate it, like really hydrate it, like really with a wet rag. See the wet rag? We're gonna hydrate this And then I have plenty of time before the rawhide comes and everything comes. So we're gonna see, I may do more on the belly and put more oil on it too. Then we gotta, once the rawhide and the tips are on, we're gonna have to tiller it. Okay, this juniper stave that I'm trying to make a bow out of, it's like trying to defeat all odds with all the knots, and it had like natural, what I would call string follow that I'm trying to take out, which finally it looks like it's coming around and I'm taking out the string follow. Okay, we're gonna hydrate it. I'm gonna do my best to get a bow out of this. And I just wanna show you all the crazy steps I went through, just so you know, if I make a bow out of it, if you see this video posted, this thing made a bow. Okay, if this is posted, you can keep on watching because it made a bow. One last heat treating of the belly of the bow before the rawhide and rosewood tips go on. Rubbed it down with true oil as I was heating it. Yeah, don't mind the mess in the garage, but just wanted to show you what I'm doing here. This is rosewood. This is a block of rosewood. And you'll put the tape, like paint this tape in the back. This is frog tape or whatever. And what you do is you lay it down. See where the handle is? The handle faces your belly. This is the back of the bow. And you lay this blank on the back of the bow and you trace it out. I'm going to put the tips on this that look good, okay? This is rosewood. And all I did is I have a block of rosewood here. See how thick it is, okay? And you put the painter's tape. I forget what kind of tape this is, but you just lay the tape on the back of the bow, the part that's away from you, because that's where it's going to lay. Okay, and you draw a line, you trace a line on the painter's tape, okay? And then you go down however far you want it to go down. You put it like this is 2 inches. And then you're going to trim off a block of wood. You're going to trim off a block of wood, okay? So once you trim the block of wood off, look, it's square. Look, it's square, see? What you're going to do with this block of wood is you're going to be very careful and hold it down and push it down until the tape is. Push it down until the tape is. Let me show you over here. I'll just show you quick over here so you can see. We got it all where it's got to be. This is this obviously is a little too narrow, but I probably could use it for another bow, but I'm just going to show you. You put it against the block because this will fly out. You'll grind your hands off. I'm not telling you to do this. You're better off using rasp and files so you don't get hurt. I'm just showing you what I do. I'm telling you not to do this. I'm telling you to use hand tools. I keep my hand on the switch. I put it on. And what I'm doing is I'm putting more pressure on the front to taper it down for now. And then, I didn't put that, you don't want to breathe any of this dust from any of this wood in. All right, so you see how I'm getting the taper down? And then what you're going to do is put a little pressure evenly on the whole thing to drop it down to a thickness that's reasonable. See the thickness that's reasonable like that? Of course, all you want to do is cut a string groove in there, lay it on, and you're going to epoxy it on or use Type On 3. But here we go. A little bit more. See, we got a height here. We may want to make it a little thinner depending on how thick you want it, how thick the limb is. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm leaving a bit of an edge, not a lot, just a bit of an edge so the rawhide can back up to it. Right, like a step. It'll the rawhide, I'm going to cut it and lay it so it should be, and then at the end we could make it match as far as the height. Now, the other thing I just want to show you, just for the heck of it, this one here was just to show you, and then if you want to make them with points on it, okay, whether it's, there's the same process for when I use buffalo horn or whatever, but if you want to make a point, let's say you want to make a point on this, instead of leaving it like I'm making it square on this particular bow, all you do is this, watch. Be careful, hold it, watch your fingers. I'm pivoting it down, putting pressure on the tip. Then I'm going to flip it over. And you kind of go back and forth and look at it until you get the desired shape. And then once again, if you're using this, and this is the thin spot, you never want the thin spot against this plate. It'll jam in there and blow apart or hurt you. You always put the thick spot on this, okay? And make sure this is tight too. And then watch, I'll push it down so the point almost disappears. Okay, so this way you'll be able to slide the string on. The next thing I do is I take a Dremel with a barrel on it. See the barrel? Okay, and what I do is, see if you can see this, I'll run the barrel along the edge to round it. Okay, and I'll go down to the point because I don't want to break the tip. Okay, and then the rest you do by hand, you hand sand it, all right? So that's for making the tips. Next, I'll show you what I do on the bow. This is the back of the bow. This is the belly. The belly faces your belly. On the back of the bow, I take the wedge that I'm going to use for the overlay, and I come down flush in the back, flush here. See, flush here. And I put a pencil mark. Okay, put a pencil mark, and then all I do is I get a straight edge. This is 2 inches, so I put a tape mark 2 inches down. So this way when I glue it and I'm done, I can peel it up and I won't have glue all over where the end is, all right? It's going to be covered with rawhide, so it don't matter too much, but I cover it with tape. I can peel it off when I'm done. And it's a good mark for sanding. So what I do is I lay this on the side, and I'll mark the thickness of it on here. And then you take anything for a straight edge and just run it down to that 2-inch mark and draw a line. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you take a file and go down and sand it. I'm going to do the belt sander, and I'm telling you not to do this because it could go wrong real fast, all right? And I have to stand on the side so I can see my line that I make. Okay, so you can see on the side I have marked where the tip overlay is going to be, right? And I have the tape here. The tape is kind of a stop. The tape ain't going to stop nothing with the belt, but it's like a guide. Okay, I'm going to just mark this A here on here so I know what piece I'm using. See, I have the marked, so I have, in case they're a little different, I'm both marked. And now I'm going to, just for a minute, I'm going to put the vacuum on in the sander and show you how I take it down. Okay, now we took it down. We'll see how it matches. Okay, and it looks, I left a little bit of a line there because what we're going to do is we're going to use the file and we're going to take it down a little bit with the file. And if this was the file here, if this was the file, we're going to take the file and go flat like this. And we're going to go up to this, even if I put a new piece of tape here for a cross reference, for a mark here, cross. We're going to take the file and go down until it evenly goes and touches that edge. Let me show you just for the heck of it here quick. Throw another piece of tape on there, right? See, that's where the edge is, you see? And we're going to take the file and we're going to just go flat like this here. And we're going to go flat until this file just touches the edge of the paper here. And then we're good. We're going to scuff it both sides a little. I wipe them with alcohol, and then we're going to epoxy them. I'm going to epoxy them on. That's it. That's all there is to it. Just going to show you with the Dremel tool what I do. And once again, I'm telling you to use hand tools. Okay, you get the idea. I'm rounding this corner off, rounding this edge off. See, I'm rounding it, so it'll be nice. And then we'll put with a chainsaw file. We'll mark it. And once again, I'll mark it maybe either with a pencil or a piece of tape, and we'll use a file, and we'll cut string grooves in ahead of time before we glue it on. I'm going to just cut it down to where the string will lay in it a little bit, and then we'll glue it on, and then I'll cut the angles after it's securely glued. Right, now just while I got this running here, and I have this one that I showed you, if you make a one with a point, right? I hold the point flush because you want the string to slide over the end if you make a pointy one, right? And I kind of go away. Up here you can go back and forth, but when you're down by the point, go down. Then by the point, go down. Okay? And that will make it nice and round and tape it. And again, you'll have to hand sand finishing it, but this takes down a lot of meat and it'll make it round. Okay, just wanted to show you what you do with the pointy edge. So instead of it being square and abrupt and sharp, you make it round and then finish it up with sandpaper. You can make your string grooves anywhere as you want. This happened to be a 2-inch piece. I made them down 3/4 because I have it tapered. I want a little more meat. And I got this tool here for the Dremel. It's a cutting tool. And you could just use the chainsaw file like this here and cut it. But I'm going to just try this tool because I just bought it. A few bucks. And I just want to see if it helps cut it a little easier. You got to be steady whenever you have something so it don't jump. Well, that works really well. Put a big cut in there. And then once I get that channel cut, that initial cut across my line, then I'll take this like this here. And what I do is, you see, I bring it to the edge of this, and I'll just round it down a little bit. And I'll flip it around. I'll go across, and I'll round it down a little bit. And once again, I don't cut, you know, I'm going to glue this on, then cut the angles in the bow, 45-degree angle. So that's just how I do it. I just wanted to show you. Next, I'll be gluing it on and holding it on with rubber bands. Okay, just want to show you how nice the bow came out. Got a little bit of backset. I have it tapered down for the rosewood tip overlays. Okay, I put some tape there so the glue runoff will be able to be peeled off. And that's the update on this bow. I think it's going to be okay. The tips, I have 91% alcohol to wipe off my fingers if I get any little on. It's hard to work with the gloves. Mix this up. It's equal parts of A and B for AE40. Okay. I'm going to put this on like this here now. And all we're going to do is rubber band it. Look, I'm going to put some rubber bands on. I'll show you the rubber bands. Here's the rubber bands. Put the rubber bands on quick. Turn it one more time. Okay, I'm going to even it out with the rubber bands. Okay, and now I wipe my hands quick with that 91% alcohol because I don't want that epoxy on my hands. Just going to wipe it quick. Okay, and look, it looks pretty good, right? It's being held on with rubber bands. Okay, I wiped the edge here because the rawhide's going to go up to that edge, and it looks good. That's all. That's how I do it. Take off the tape, and you got a clean spot.